All right, let's go ahead, if we can, please, and get started on our next section, which is all about taxes. And you know, taxes are very personal because we all have to pay taxes in some form every time you go to the store. You look at a price, it's not the real price. They add money, they add taxes onto that price. Um, on top of that, if you work, you get money taken out of your paycheck. And you know, you got to ask yourself, like, who are these people taking money out of my paycheck? Who is this federal government or state um, government? I guess I still do have disruptions of a different sort. But yeah, so who are these people taking money? Who is the FDIC? Seriously, or FICA? Who's FICA? Medicare, Medicaid. I guess I get these people. And then you start getting, you know, I own a home. I gotta pay taxes. Well, why is there extra tax on certain items that maybe the government doesn't want me to use? Right, sin taxes for things that I know none of you have ever bought in your life, things like alcohol and tobacco. Um, and you know, the truth of the matter is, folks, that taxes are as old as civilization, right? In order for there to be a civilization, in order for there to be a government, there needs to be taxes. There is proof of taxes in the very first governments on our planet. Because who's going to pay for the things that the government does? How are we going to fund the roads and the bridges and the police and the firefighters and the armies and all the things that our government does to make our lives better? The schools and the hospitals, the taxes. The answer to all of those questions is taxes. And well, we're going to start this conversation by looking at syntax. Okay, because one of the things about taxes I mentioned earlier is sometimes a tax is put on by the government to try and get you to modify your behavior. Alcohol and tobacco products, marijuana in California, is taxed much more heavily than clothes or coffee mugs, or glasses, or any of the other things that we have. And food, not pre-made food, because that's different, but food from the grocery store oftentimes has no tax. So these are examples of how the government tries to modify your behavior. They say, look, we're going to tax you extra if you do these things that we kind of consider to be a sin. I'm not sure if that word belongs there. Religion and the government, let's not. We'll give you a regular tax on regular items, and for food, which everyone needs to survive, we'll make it free. It's interesting. In 2009, when Obama first became president, he was looking to pass the Affordable Care Act. He said, I'll pay for it by adding tax on sugary drinks, which makes sense because sugary drinks make it more likely that you got to use healthcare in the first place. It makes it more likely that you got to go to the hospital. And people freaked out. No way I'm going to pay a few extra pennies on a can of Coke. And then, well, does Coke get taxed and juice doesn't? But what percentage of juice needs to be in there for it not to be taxed? The conversations break down. What about cake and cupcakes? Shouldn't they have tax too? Well, yeah, they do. Well, what about, you get it, right? The conversation devolved into a conversation about what should be taxed and what shouldn't. And at the end of the day, the sugar companies, okay, your soda and your treats, these are big companies that are way more powerful. They have lobbyists, they have people who they pay to go to DC, and they were able to get that taken out of the bill. But some countries have had sugar taxes. Other countries have carbon taxes. This is an idea you hear floated around in like the Green New Deal kind of thing, how to save the environment. Well, tax companies for how much pollution they put in the air. And that might make them pollute less. And that's an evolving idea. There's some countries who do that today. Others, of course, like ours, does not. So some suggest that taxes can make people behave in a certain way. Others consider taxes to be income distribution issues, right? Like, we don't need so many 100 billionaires. I think there's like 100 people in this country who aren't just billionaires, which, by the way, $1 billion, right? Like, more money than I could ever know what to do with. I mean, 100 million, 10 million, a million, okay, maybe a million. You're like, okay, that's a house, right? Okay, 100 billion. I mean, the idea is, well, maybe we should not have so many of these. We can tax the rich people heavier, and that will help get the homeless people off the street. Or maybe we can give that money to schools so that they can give every student a Chromebook, or maybe we can give that money to maybe we can stop borrowing so much so that the future generation doesn't need to pay back this massive debt, or free college, or all these ideas. And others would say, no, that goes against capitalism. Okay, so these are debates that we have in society. And of course, you know that the way you vote in our future will shape how those debates play out. So you got to make these decisions on your own and decide what you think's best. So yeah, taxes can be used to distribute income into certain people. I mean, let's face it, we already do have government spending that gives certain monies to certain people, low income people, and tax some rich people at a higher rate, although we'll get into the fact that rich people have ways of getting out of taxes, tax loopholes, and some rich people pay some, and Amazon pays zero, right? Amazon, the richest company in the history of the world, zero because of tax write-offs and loopholes. So, yeah, I mean, should that be what taxes are done? You know, tax the rich. Maybe we'll put a new subway line, right, in the city. Or you decide. And then there are questions of, well, if you put taxes more on the rich, maybe rich people will stop making so much money because they don't want to be taxed as heavily, which never really happens. Of course, we know that in a marginal tax code, everyone gets taxed the same on their dollars. So everyone's first dollar gets taxed the same. Everyone's $10,000 and $50,000 and $100,000. It's just that when you get over $1 million or whatever number a year, you get a higher percentage taken out. But everyone gets taxed the same at the lower levels. So these arguments usually don't fly. They're just kind of flashy. And they cause people who don't understand marginal taxes to say, oh yeah, I agree. But that's why we're teaching you, isn't it? So you understand and can make an educated choice. And then we also have questions about, like, okay, well, some states don't have sales tax. Some states have high sales tax. Some states don't have income tax. Some states have high income tax. In California, we have a really low property tax. My cousin lives in Chicago, and she says her property tax is higher than her mortgage because they have such high property tax in Illinois. So now you have to decide who gets taxed, where those taxes are going to come from. Everyone pays sales tax, but only homeowners pay property tax, and only the rich pay the high level income tax. So this idea of using taxes to try and decide who's going to pay for things in society is another question mark about taxes, and another thing that in your future you're going to help decide. You know, I think one thing that you're going to learn is that a lot of elections, a lot of democracy is about money. It's about the economy. It's about things like taxes, and you know, other issues, of course, but you know, people suggest that the state of the economy at the end of the day is the best predictor of who's going to win in certain elections. So these issues are really important in shaping our future. Um, and I sit here trying. I'm going to do my best over the next few weeks to explain to you the best I can. Who takes your money and what do they spend it on? Whose money gets taken more, me or Bezos? Who gets more from those taxes, me or Bezos, or someone who's lower income than me? I'm not. I'm middle. So away we go.